So guys, I guess we've all seen the press releases by now, and all I can say is that I have absolutely zero intention of reviewing this new iPad Pro. I will be reviewing something else though. Let me explain, let's ramble.
Hold up, face go wild when I pull up. They all on me like they want some.
Hey, what's up guys? It's great to see you all again, and if you're new here, I'm Patrick, and this is where I ramble about tech and other stuff. Now, I'm aware that not everyone watching this video is a subscriber. It might even be the first time you see any of my videos, so let me just preface a little bit what I'm about to say, and let me give you a bit of context. I've been a big fan of the iPad Pro. In fact, it was the 2020 iPad Pro that started this very YouTube channel. I've done numerous reviews and comparisons, best apps videos, best accessories, you name it. Now since then, the channel has grown a bit thanks to you, and we've reviewed tons of other products, but I guess it's fair to say that there has been a very strong focus on this channel on Apple and Apple products. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a fanboy, but I do have a good appreciation of Apple and their products. I use a 14-inch MacBook Pro for work. I carry an iPhone 14 Pro and an Apple Watch Ultra, as you can see, with me every day. I absolutely love my iPad mini, and I used to love my iPad Pro. And in a way, I still do, but it's become a major source of frustration for me, and it's affecting the way I feel about Apple as a company. Now, ultimately, how I feel about Apple is not that relevant. This channel exists first and foremost because I have a deep appreciation for tech. I'm a huge nerd, and I love nerding out with you guys. And I love the fact that sharing my experiences can be helpful to some of you. Now, over the past days and weeks, I've received a lot of questions from you guys asking which iPad you should get. And that is the reason why I felt compelled to make this particular video, because I feel like Apple's marketing has become borderline misleading, and I don't want you to make a very expensive purchasing decision that you might end up regretting. Case in point, the M2 iPad Pro. Now, the title of this video says, I refuse to review the M2 iPad Pro, and I stand by that. I didn't order it, and I'll tell you why. I already reviewed this iPad Pro multiple times over the past year. Sure, it was called the M1 iPad Pro, but it's pretty much the same thing. Of course, the M2 chip on the new iPad Pro will be a bit more efficient, but most everything else has stayed exactly the same. The 12.9-inch M1 iPad Pro has the same beautiful mini LED display, the same cameras, both have a Thunderbolt connector, both have 5G, both have Face ID, same battery life, same quad speaker system, both work with the 2nd gen Apple Pencil, and both work with the exact same Magic Keyboard. So are there no differences at all? Sure, there's a couple. The GPU has 2 more cores, 10 instead of 8. The M2 iPad Pro shoots ProRes video. Who on earth even uses the iPad Pro to shoot video, let alone ProRes, is beyond me, but hey, it's there if you need it. Oh, and how could I forget the most exciting thing the M2 has over the M1? Ladies and gentlemen, meet the S Pen. Sorry, I mean Apple Pencil Hover. My dreams have come true, and I can't wait to almost touch my iPad Pro. Anyway, so basically we got the changes we didn't ask for, and frankly don't give a crap about, and we got none of the upgrades many of us were actually hoping for. Like the Magic Keyboard, I'm a huge fan of the Magic Keyboard. In fact, it was the Magic Keyboard that made me decide to get an iPad Pro in the first place. But of course, as is the case with many first editions, it has its flaws. One of them being the absence of a row of function keys. That alone had me wishing for an upgrade to the Magic Keyboard, but it's not just that. There's been rumors for quite some time now about potential keyboard upgrades, and they weren't just rumors. They were based on some of the patents Apple actually went and filed, like better viewing angles, a dedicated space to store your Apple Pencil, and of course the infamously missing row of function keys. But no upgrades to the Magic Keyboard. And as if that's not infuriating enough, Apple then comes out with an all-new keyboard for the 10th generation iPad with, guess what, a row of function keys. That's right, the entry-level iPad gets the keyboard with a row of function keys before my expensive iPad Pro. What the actual Oh, and if that's not enough of a spit in the face of everyone that paid a fortune for their iPad Pros, let's talk about the front-facing camera, shall we? You know, the one camera that actually matters? We have been asking for so long for Apple to please move the camera to the side bezel, where it belongs, so that we can use it in landscape mode, which is the mode normal people make their video calls in. But no, Apple did no such thing for the iPad Pro, because guess what? The entry-level, non-Pro 10th generation iPad got the front-facing camera in landscape mode. So let me get this straight. The Pro iPad that I actually want to use professionally, the one that I want to use for business calls, you know, the one with the better display, better speakers, and the better microphones, still isn't equipped to do a video call in landscape mode without looking like your wonky-eyed cousin looking off to the side. But the very basic entry-level iPad is. Seriously, what was Apple thinking? None of the other rumors held true either. There will be no wireless charging, no glass back, and no MagSafe capabilities. Well, okay, but if you're buying your first iPad Pro or you're upgrading from a very old model, at least now you get the M2 iPad Pro at the same price as the M1, right? If you live in the US, because outside the US, the M2 iPad Pro is considerably more expensive than the M1 was. Now, normally, I'm in the habit of advising anyone who thinks about getting an iPad Pro to get the latest one, if budget allows, because, you know, future-proofing. But in the case of the iPad Pro, I won't advise anyone to do that. Because A, the M1 was already ridiculously expensive, especially if you wanted the 16 gig version, which meant that you had to shell out for the 1 or 2 terabyte version to have access to those 16 gigs, and that has remained the same for the M2, by the way. And B, because none of the extra firepower has been of any real use to me or anyone else. And I do challenge you to let me know in the comments if there has been a single use case for you to actually utilize those 16 gigs of RAM. I bought the fully spec'd out iPad Pro because Apple marketed it as a pro device that was going to change the game, and therefore many of us were expecting pro apps like Final Cut Pro and Logic to finally come to the iPad. I mean, why else would Apple develop an iPad with that much horsepower, right? As we know now, none of that happened. There are still no real pro apps. And yes, I've heard about DaVinci Resolve, but that's for another video. Long story short, the M1 is already an overspec device, much more powerful than any of us need it to be. So why would anyone need to pay even more money for a device that will have even more unusable specs? So no, I will not be buying the M2 iPad Pro, and I will not be reviewing it because there's literally nothing meaningful to report. I mean, what would my video title be? M2 iPad Pro. It's faster, I think, maybe. I guess we'll never find out. Anyway, I told you in the beginning of the video that I will be reviewing another device, and that device will be the 10th gen regular iPad, since that was literally the only device with upgrades worth reviewing. Now, whether it's a smart purchase remains to be seen. I have some thoughts on that too, but that's for another video. Guys, I'm sorry for this little rant, but if you agree with me, please hit the like button and let me know that I'm not alone in this. Subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.